Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. A changing of the guard is coming in Washington, D.C., one that I think we saw today on display, but more than that, embodies the difference between the two parties, the two coalitions they represent. Today, of course, Nancy Pelosi announced that she will be stepping down from House leadership after 20 years and a historic run as the first female Speaker of the House.
Mission to hold strong to our most treasured democratic.
Tonight, Madam Speaker, history was made today, and that phrase was used for the first time ever when Nancy Pelosi of California was elected Speaker of the House and when her party took control from the Republicans for the first time in 12 years. Speaker Pelosi is now second in line to the presidency behind only the vice president.
I've been covering Nancy Pelosi for nearly 2 decades. She's a remarkably effective legislator and congressional leader, not just because she's a savvy politician, which she is, a great vote counter. What has made Nancy Pelosi truly great and her tenure so consequential is what she's accomplished. There's just a body of work, a substantive agenda that she either delivered or she blocked. On that note, in terms of what she blocked, among the first major challenges she ever faced after taking over as House Minority Leader back in 2003, was then President George W. Bush's proposal to privatize Social Security. Would have been a devastating, permanent, probably, transformation of the American welfare state and our social safety net. But Leader Pelosi was absolutely instrumental in blocking it. She resisted pressure to present a counter-proposal to the Bush plan, calculating the Republican plan would collapse under its own weight. When members pestered her every week, asking when they were going to release a rival plan, and I remember when this was the case, the press was all like, well, what are the Democrats going to do? She was defiant, saying, quote, never. Is never good enough for you? And you know what? It worked. Republicans tore themselves apart, never brought a bill to vote in the House or the Senate, just completely collapsed in on itself. Then in 2008, she was the Speaker as the financial crisis was erupting, the worst such crisis since the Great Depression. And she worked with the Bush administration to negotiate and then pass the legislation that backstopped the entire financial system and bailed out the banks. Not particularly popular. At one point, Treasury Secretary Hank Paulson, who at that point was effectively running the U.S. government, leaned so heavily on Pelosi to help get the bailout through the House that he even got down on one knee to beg her to push the bill through. And again, Nancy Pelosi kept her cool and got the job done. But of course, it was in 2010 that she delivered the most significant achievement, the one that I think would be the capstone of her career, which is the health reform legislation, the largest of its kind since LBJ's Great Society. The Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, was all but left for dead after Scott Brown, now a high school girls basketball coach, won the special election for Ted Kennedy's Senate seat. Democrats lost their filibuster-proof majority in the Senate. They went from 60 to 59. They no longer had the votes in the Senate. But Nancy Pelosi would not give up.
We go through the gate's closed, we'll go over the fence is too high, we'll pole vault in. If that doesn't work, we'll parachute in, but we're going to get health care reform passed for the American people, for their own personal health and economic security, and for the important role that it'll play in reducing the deficit.
She did. I read a story about how Rahm Emanuel, at that point, Chief of Staff of President Obama, wanted to basically abandon it and just pass a small little version of child health care, which she called the itsy bitsy teensy spider version, which she said she wouldn't do. No, she delivered the votes and passed Obamacare. They just passed the bill that had passed the Senate, rammed it through the House, got it done. Then in the first 2 years of the Biden administration, Nancy Pelosi and Democrats delivered on a slew of policy priorities. There was the American Rescue Plan, a $1.9 trillion recovery bill as we emerge from the worst parts of the pandemic, and the CHIPS Act, the infrastructure bill, which was passed on a bipartisan basis, the Inflation Reduction Act, which was the largest clean energy climate investment in history, $370 billion investment in clean energy. That's just to name a few. Speaker Pelosi also passed some really substantive legislation through the House the Senate didn't take up, including a voting rights package, a bill to protect abortion rights. So for 2 decades, Nancy Pelosi has carried out the agenda of the Democratic Party. And there are critics all over the place of that agenda. There are critics on the right, critics on the left. But it is an ambitious, sprawling agenda. And at times she has done it with a very narrow majority. She's done it skillfully and shrewdly. And she has worked with both sides of the aisle, as she highlighted today.
It's been my privilege to play a part in forging extraordinary progress for the American people. I have enjoyed working with 3 presidents, achieving historic investments in clean energy with President George Bush. Transformative health care reform with President Barack Obama. And forging the future, from infrastructure to health care to climate action with President Joe Biden.
Now, you might have noticed that Nancy Pelosi made one very obvious, deliberate omission there, the 4 years of Donald Trump's presidency. But she was really instrumental then, too. And this is something I think a lot of people have lost sight of, but to me is one of the sort of most notable moments in recent American governing history. In the midst of a once-in-a-century pandemic, Pelosi and the Democratic caucus in the House worked with members of the Trump administration, particularly Steve Mnuchin, and Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell to pass, in an election year, trillions of dollars in COVID relief. Trillions of dollars in COVID relief they had to know would boost the incumbent president's chances of re-election. It put money directly into pockets of millions of Americans. The checks that Trump put his name on, it kept countless businesses afloat. Trump would run on that, right? And they did it anyway. But I think that Pelosi's omission of Trump is not just about the righteous contempt that she obviously holds him in. I think she really does view the Trump years, particularly the 2 impeachments she oversaw, more in sorrow than in anger. I don't believe she sees those impeachments as accomplishments. Because I got to tell you, what Democratic lawmakers, almost all the Democratic lawmakers that I've ever known, interviewed as journalists, by and large, what they want to do when they get to Congress is pass laws, make policy. Some of the policy is good, some not so good, but that's what they want to do. They want to pass laws and make policy. And it's just not the case on the other side. And if you don't believe me, look at day 1 of the Republican House majority. It doesn't exist yet, but today was their rollout, right? They will be regaining control of the House with a slim majority. And as they talk about what they plan to do with this power, it all sounds more like a Steve Bannon podcast episode than an actual congressional agenda.
One of our highest priorities under a Republican Congress will be to stop left-wing censorship and to restore free speech.
So this is the focus on the Judiciary Committee, the political nature at the Justice Department, and the linkage now to what was happening with the Hunter Biden story.
We also want to get to the bottom of the origination of COVID-19.
I'm really happy Dr. Fauci's retiring, because that's going to give a lot of time for him to sit in our committees.
We can impeach Secretary Mayorkas. We can impeach Merrick Garland. So I'm introducing articles of impeachment against Joe Biden on Monday.
Now, we also just learned that that individual, Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, extracted a promise from Republican leaders that they will investigate Speaker Nancy Pelosi and the Justice Department for their treatment of defendants jailed in connection with January 6th. Now, let's be clear. American jails are generally pretty awful, okay? And everyone, no matter the crime, no matter who they are, what their politics are, deserves to be treated humanely. That often is not the case in our system. But what's happening here is that Republicans, a certain section of them, Marjorie Taylor Greene, believe that these folks who carried out a violent insurrection by breaking the Capitol and hunt down elected leaders are basically political prisoners. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, along with some of her fellow Republicans, are already threatening to shut down the government. Again, none of this is that surprising, considering they don't, again, really have a substantive agenda to work on anyway, or at least not a popular one. The most coherent version they could possibly cobble together would include, I don't know, some platitudes about respecting life with no specifics from Republican leader Kevin McCarthy. And then, of course, Republican Senator Rick Scott's much criticized plan to cut Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. I am sure they will also find a way to try to cut taxes for rich people and big corporations. That's the one thing you can always bet on. It's the one thing they all agree on. It's the one thing they know how to do. So today, when you compare Jim Jordan in his shirt sleeves wailing about Hunter Biden's laptop to the pillars of the American social welfare state that Nancy Pelosi has overseen, that is exactly what the 2 different parties stand for at this moment.